We're about to begin the service for Mrs. Pearl Zaid. Just as a gentle reminder for those of you present here in the chapel, if you have a cell phone with you, please place it in the silent mode or turn it off completely. That would be appreciated. We also want to welcome everyone who's viewing the service online. The service will be officiated by Rabbi Michael Schwab from North Suburban Synagogue Bethel in Highland Park.
In memory of Pearl, I'm going to begin by chanting from Psalm 23 in the Hebrew, and then I'll invite anybody who'd like to read it in English, recite it in English with me. It's on the inside of your service folder. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai Rui Lo Achsar, Binoteh Sheyar Bitzeni, Amei Menuchot Tinahaleni, Nafshi Eshovev, Yancheni V'maglei Tzedek Leman Shemo. Gam ki elech begeitz hamavet lo yirara ki ata imadihi shiftecha mishantecha hema yenachamuni taroch lefanai shochan neged tzorai dishanta v'Hashem en roshi kosi revaya ach tov v'chesed yudefuni kol yemei chayai v'shavti b'veit Adonai liorech yamim. If you'd like to join me in the English. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That is our belief and our hope, that Pearl's soul dwell in the house of the Lord forever. There is a saying from the Talmud, Ashrei Misha Gadal B'Torah V'Amalo B'Torah V'Oseh Nachad Ruach Liyotzro V'Gadal B'Shem Tov V'Niftar B'Shem Tov Min Ha'olam. Blessed is the one who is reared in Torah, who labored in Torah, who pleased our Creator, who lived with a good reputation, and who died with a good name. Pearl was certainly one who cared about Torah and Judaism. She certainly lived a life that would please our Creator. And she had more than a good reputation. She had a beautiful reputation. And she died with a wonderful name. We say to the woman of the house in Proverbs, Eshet chayil mi imsa v'rachok mini michra. What a precious find is a woman of valor. Her worth is far beyond rubies. And so was the life of Pearl to us. Worth far beyond rubies and so much to so many. The comfort that we have comes from our great scholar, Ben Sira, who wrote, when parents who have taught their children pass on, their passing is not a true death. For she knows that a part of her cannot die. When alive, a parent rejoices with her children, and in death she does not grieve, for she knows that her legacy has been passed on, l'dor vador, from one generation to the next. Speaking of generations, I'm going to call on Gary, her son, to say some words.
Thank you, Rabbi. A life well lived. My mom was born on the west side of Chicago. She attended Marshall High School and would tell about her friendship with actress Kim Novak. She met her father at a Yom Kippur rooftop dance sponsored by the Jewish community. They quickly fell in love and married. Our mom had an enduring love for learning. She was an inspiration, juggling the responsibilities of motherhood and full-time employment while pursuing her education. Her determination led her to earn both a bachelor's degree in teaching at Northeastern and a master's degree in special education. She taught all the way into her late 70s. Pearl traveled the world with her father, Pinky. Pearl would create unique nicknames for all of our family members. His nickname was Mot for Motik. Mine was Gersh. She was a wonderful mom and an exceptional grandmother and great-grandmother. Beyond her many accomplishments, Pearl possessed a vibrant artistic soul. She studied at the Art Institute of Chicago, and her talent as an artist brought joy to many. She continued her artwork at the North Shore Senior Center and would produce paintings for her friends and family. She painted up to the date of her hospitalization. Many of her paintings will be displayed later today, thanks to Ben at Teshiva. Her love for nature was evident in her collection of beautiful plants as subjects of her paintings. As a volunteer at the Chicago Botanic Gardens, she shared her expertise as a master gardener with enthusiasm and was also an educator in the butterfly exhibit. My mom was a lifelong athlete, jogging daily and competing in 5K races, winning her age bracket up to age 89. My mom and dad were active members and leaders of Congregation Sherry Tikva. When my dad passed, she moved to her Northbrook condominium and joined North Suburban Synagogue Bethel in Highland Park. With the same enthusiasm, she became an active member. She made many new friends at Bethel, as well as her new residence in Northbrook. Pearl had a great sense of humor and an infectious laugh. At times, we would laugh so hard that our heads would hurt. We will miss my mom deeply and hope that she and Pinky are together planning new adventures. Shalom, Mima.
I'm now going to call up Ellie, one of her grandchildren, to say a few words. Hi.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I'm Ellie. I'm one of Pearl's granddaughters. I wrote something that I want to read, but I do want to say that I just graduated from school and I got to have grandma at my graduation and we had such a great time. And even in the past few weeks, we've been talking about it and just seeing that light. So I'm happy to see her happy recently. And I get to carry that with me forever. The thing I learned about family is that we all are pieces of each other. Like the rabbi mentioned, a fluid mosaic. My grandma had a sense of humor and a whimsy that was exciting, contagious, and made her instantly lovable. Talk to any Zaid or Zaid derivative here, and we can show and tell you what that looks like, and you'll see Ma here in us, with us. In my father, I see trails that formed from Ma of humor, sensitivity, compassion, athleticism, devotion to marriage. In my aunts, I see whimsy, furious passion, resilience, playfulness, and strong family values. In my siblings, especially my sister, I see Ma's face. In my brother, I see her looking out for the little guyness. In my cousins, I see her joy and clever kindness and unabashed ability to love. As of myself, I see a mix of all of the fluid mosaic, but I see mostly the fun haver, person with anxiety, artist, singer, and poet. I see her in my depth and the depth I appreciate and love in nature. She slowed down and quieted things that overstimulated me and caught me in her palm with love. She soothed my soul, and my soul will forever be protected because of it. I don't know much. We don't know much about this life-death thing, but I do know that we are pieces of each other even those gone, human fluid mosaics of those who shaped us. And today, in these past 3 weeks, we have put it together and see Ma as herself reflecting back at us many times on her way out. She recognized the clan of love she spent 91 years fostering. And that was a beautiful thing to be a part of. And I love Ma. And her last words to me are, Ellie knows I love her. And I do, and I love you too, Ma.
Now I'm going to call on Lizette, another one of Pearl's granddaughters.
Ma. Many folks don't get to know their grandparents for very long or at all. And I got to have you for over 39 years. And even though I know I should feel grateful for that nearly half a lifetime of time, it's hard because it still didn't feel like it was enough. What I would give for one more look from your eyes across the table, or to slip my hand into yours while we sat next to each other on the couch. I am grateful for the Jewish culture and traditions that you valued and shared with us. Thank you for the Passover dinners, the Shari Tikva services, your enchanted memories of Israel, lighting Shabbat candles in your kitchen, and every ounce of Yiddishkeit you poured into this world. I'm grateful for being able to see the natural world through your eyes. Thank you for pointing out every beautiful spiderweb, leaf, flower, bird, and bug that became magical as soon as you brought it to my attention. I'm grateful for the family you have created and nourished, the beautiful rose bush of rosebuds that are just blossoming in your image. Thank you for cultivating a local and international garden of aunts, uncles, and cousins that I cherish with every ounce of my heart. So while it is not the same as having you here with me, I'm so, so grateful that I get to see hints of your face when I look in the mirror, that I get to hear your voice when I sing our songs, and that I get to spend the rest of my life having your memory as a blessing. I love you.
Beautiful words from a beautiful family. Many of you know today is Tisha B'Av, and it is the saddest day on the Jewish calendar. In many ways, the spirit of today reflects our feelings. We have lost Pearl Zaid, a warm, intelligent, passionate woman who was full of life, energy, and smiles, and who lived with zest and purpose. And she was taken from us before many of us were ready, even though she was already 91. And yet, in many ways, the spirit of today contrasts completely with the notion of celebrating Pearl's life. For she was indeed a lover of life. And when we remember for all we can do is smile and be warmed and comforted by her great love for others, her fun-loving nature, and her passion for community and Jewish life. Therefore, it is my very sad honor to extend my condolences to her loving children, of course, to Gary and Debbie, and Tarina and Jed, as well as Wendy and Adam, as well as to her beloved siblings, Richard and Leslie, and to Paula and Peter, and all of her wonderful, cherished grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and cousins. My prayer is that the words we share and the traditions we observe provide some measure of comfort at a difficult time. I spoke with the family and I learned so much about Pearl that I didn't already know, even though we had a really nice relationship over the last 11 years she was at Bethel. And I wanted to share some highlights. A couple overlap with what Gary said, but I hope you don't mind. As many of you know, Pearl grew up on the west side of Chicago in the Lawndale neighborhood. I was told that the family was very economically insecure, but there were strong bonds between them, and they overcame the obstacles that were placed in front of them and were able to make they were able to make lives for themselves in very important ways. Around the age of 20, give or take, she met the love of her life, Pinchas, or Pinky as he was called. Pinky was a merchant marine from Israel who was enticed to stay in the United States to play soccer and was given a job as an auto mechanic to help pay the bills. As you heard, they met at a Jewish dance on the West Side in the early 50s, and there was absolutely no looking back. They were practically inseparable for over 50 years. They had a wonderful marriage, raised a fantastic family together, and traveled the world. Sadly, Pinky was afflicted with dementia and died in 2012. Pearl took incredible care of him while he was ill. And as Gary intimated, perhaps there is some comfort in knowing that they're together again. As a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, she was both loving and fun. She liked to be creative and make things exciting, like when she would put on music and everyone had to take turns dancing, or when she made characters out of ordinary objects, giving them a name and spinning a whole story about them, like Cuppy. They would give special names to food she would serve, like lion's bread and children's coffee, as well as give nicknames to people that sometimes only vaguely had to do with their actual name or character traits. She also loved to sing, and she loved to be with the kids. I know that all of you will miss her que sera sera. Everyone felt loved and welcomed by Pearl, and her children said that everyone called her Ma, not just them, and many of their friends saw her as a second mother. Her home was open to her extended family as well, and she was close with so many. She loved feeding her relatives, her grandchildren especially. This love of family crossed over with another love, which was Judaism. She loved hosting the holidays at her house, especially Passover. She made sure that the evening was filled with food, fun, discussion, and learning. She hosted well into her 80s. She liked things traditional. She was not pleased when the family decided to create their own Haggadah instead of following the traditional text. Hey, as a rabbi, I kind of appreciate that. And she raised the family at Shari Tikva, as you heard, instilling the importance of synagogue life and Jewish community in her children from a very young age. And as you can hear, it was passed down to the grandchildren as well. She and Pinky were very active there and participated in many of those activities. And then we at my synagogue at North Suburban Synagogue Bethel, we were lucky enough to have her join our congregation. As I told the family, though she was only a member since 2013, and she was already practically 80 when she joined, it seems as if she's been there for decades. She came to services every Shabbat, participated in many programs, took a number of classes, was very active in the sisterhood, including the book club. She was very social during Kiddush after services, making countless friends and getting to know almost everyone. I want to share two reflections that Bethel members sent me about Pearl. The first comes from our director of continuing education who organizes the classes in the book club. She wrote, "I'm so saddened to hear the news about Pearl's death, but it warms my heart that the obituary states that Pearl found comfort, joy, and community as a longtime member of North Suburban Synagogue Bethel in Highland Park. She also was a longtime member of our Sisterhood Torah Fund Book Club and an active library patron. Marcy and I regularly delivered books to her home during the pandemic. Pearl also loved to help with the used book sale. In fact, in 2023, just last year, when she celebrated her 90th birthday, she did so by volunteering to set up the book sale. So we had cupcakes in her honor. She also used to take Alicia's Hebrew class and often attended our continuing education classes and events. She was kind and generous and smart and witty, and I will certainly miss her." Second comes from one of our angel volunteers who helps run Chazak, a program at the synagogue that supports older adults and helps them remain active in our community. She wrote, "Pearl was a caring person. I recall that a few years ago, she was mistakenly shipped individually frozen kosher prepared meals, perhaps 20 or 25 of them, I think from a financial management company who was trying to secure her business. Upon delivery, she called them and told the company she did not want or need them. They explained it would be better to donate them rather than ship them back. Pearl called me and asked if I could come over, look at the meals, and find a home for them. So I went to her condo, spent a little time with her, heard in her voice and memories how much she missed her husband, Pinky. And after confirming the meals were definitely OU, Heckscher, we were able to distribute them to approximately 5 Bethel members who were very appreciative. I reported back to Pearl that her mitzvah had been fulfilled. She was delighted. Pearl cared about helping people and doing the right thing. She loved learning and was an avid reader and was always a Torah Fun Book Club participant. We will miss her. As many of you know, Pearl was also a great lover of Israel, having gone there several times in her life. She was very concerned about what is happening there now, as am I. And she was generous with organizations that wanted her help. Rena shared that in going through her mail, there was a stack of solicitation mail from places to which she annually donated. I personally loved talking to her, and each time I saw her, it made my day better. She would always be smiling. She would always have something kind to say, and she would always make an intelligent or reflective comment. Our community will be missing one of its bright stars, but she has left us much better off because of her participation. And this was her trademark. Everyone loved her. Everyone wanted to be loved by her. She led life with such purpose and passion. She had so much energy. Gary fondly recalled that she and his dad came to visit him in LA for the '84 Olympics, and they utterly wore him out with their level of activity and excitement. She did the same to her caretaker when they were in Israel. And she was a wonderful athlete, as you heard, a lifetime runner who ran into her 80s. She was an avid gardener, as you heard, who volunteered at the Botanic Gardens. She was considered a master gardener. And she worked in the butterfly exhibit until recently. Pearl was a virtual Renaissance woman, so she was also a talented and passionate artist. She studied at the Art Institute. She created so many wonderful works of art in her life. In fact, a Bethel member the other morning brought in a painting to Morning Minyan the day after Pearl died, which she created from a photo which she had shown her. It was an example both of her talents and her kindness to others. Perhaps most impressive, though, was her career as a special education teacher. After juggling work life and being a mother, she decided to also go back to school and get both her bachelor's and master's in special ed. She taught for many years at the London School in Palatine, served in the behavioral health department at Evanston Hospital, and most recently was a special ed teacher at the Lutheran School. She only stopped when Pinky became ill and she needed to take care of him. How lucky were those students to have had her as their teacher and mentor. In short, the world lost a wonderful woman when Pearl passed. And yet, because of her kindness, her intelligence, her creativity, her resilience, her passion, and her love, she has left the world a better place and made each of our lives better as well. We will miss her, but her memory will surely always be a blessing. Ti zichra brucha, may the soul of Penina Chana bat Daniel Vasara, Pearl Zaid, always rest in peace, and let us all say, Amen. Now I'm going to ask that if you're able, if you could kindly stand for the memorial prayer. It's a slightly different version because today is Tisha B'Av. Eloha slichot chanun rachum merachapayim v'rav chesed amitzecha b'rapesha v'akrava yesha b'nucha nechona tachat kanfei ashchina v'ma'alot kidoshim u'torim kazora ki amazirim et nishmat Penina Chana bat Daniel v'Sara shalcha li'olamaha Ana balarachamim zochra l'tova kol zichuyoteh v'tidkoteh b'ratzot ha'chaim uvtach la sharei tzedek v'ora sharei chemla v'chanina V'seiter knafecha stirei li'olamim utzror b'tzorah chaim nishmata Adonai unachlata v'tanoch b'shalom ha'mishkava v'nomar Amen. God of forgiveness and compassion, you who are gracious, patient, and abundantly kind, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Pearl Zaid, Penina Chana bat Daniel Vasara, who's gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that you remember all the worthy and righteous deeds she performed. May her loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. May she always rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated for a moment for announcements.
The interment will take place at West Lawn Cemetery. For those of you joining our procession, we'll make sure that you receive an orange funeral sticker that should be placed in the front portion of your inside of your windshield, as well as a magnetic flag that should be put on top of your car. And please keep in mind two important safety features while in procession. Use your bright headlights and your emergency flasher lights at all times. And please stay as close to the car in front of you as safety permits to avoid large gaps in the procession. The Shiva will be observed later today between 4 and 8 p.m. at Max and Benny's, which is at 461 Waukegan Road in Northbrook. That address is also here in the folders, as well as it's on our website. At this time, I'll ask the following family members to please step forward to serve as pallbearers: Elizabeth Ehrlich, Laura Ehrlich, Bennett Horowitz, Lauren Lotter, Benjamin Larson, Lindsay Parsons, Nate Parsons, Alex Zaid, Carly Zaid, Ellie Rebecca Zaid, Lisette Sarah Zaid, and Shannon Naomi Zaid. I'll ask everyone to please rise at this time.
Shalom David, Shomreini out, Itasit, Arthanakan, Ayatzat, Solatzi, Palalakan, Yoshima Shema Aratsema, Vadireko, Seba, Yurua Tota, Mater, Mapu, Polasit, Skernica, Valasa, Masvata. I'm not a beautiful city. I'm not so beautiful.